So I was all sad that you guys were all in a party until I looked at my DS, turned it off, and realized I had turned instead of.
Oh, you were there that night.
And I was just like, oh, well, I'm not mad anymore.
What?
So
peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Any person you can want on these heads.
No.
Why not?
I finally.
All I make is just fuck you, game.
It took him basically a whole week of doing nothing but stations and over. But I finally got him to break down and do nipple stuff for me.
Are you gonna start this? Actually, it's already recording, so. Why was this recording?
Oh, it's great.
Well, they took 3 of them this time.
Why are we talking about stuff?
Alright, here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to another episode of Going Full Otaku. With me tonight is Tim Egoboost.
How's it going?
You're gonna probably have to speak up louder than that.
It sucks.
Hi. Also with me tonight, you don't get this. His ass leads to nowhere and to everywhere. Caboose.
Yeah, I go by MSC engagement.
Sorry, that's not in your contract.
Yes, he does not negate your sign.
He has a contract? I could have sworn he just gave him bags of peanuts and told him to do stuff.
I'm not even sure if the mic's gonna hear him from over there, but okay. And with us also is the child, Wabi-kun.
Badass. Hey, speak.
Stop touching me. We also have Master Chef.
Hey, what's cooking?
And we also have with us the Goat Lord Josh himself.
Hello.
We also have with us Proffessor Jebus. And
Trog.
Trog. We have Trog.
This Scorpio is not one type.
I like to
Alright, folks, and we have a couple things that we want to talk about. Unfortunately, we have a caboose who just left the building.
Also with us is
Also with us.
also.
Did we mention? Oh,
Guest starring.
Ash Ketchum.
no.
We don't want Ash here.
We want red.
We can't.
Well, we can't afford Ash either.
We can't afford
have
Ash.
the
We can't afford
3-foot
red.
wall.
Anyhow.
Technically, we could afford Red because he's not under contract.
First thing on our discussion board tonight is the epic failure of the newest convention called DashCon.
Oh, good God. I did not even... Mike, shut up. Fair enough. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't even read the article on this god-awful thing, but apparently you said it was only a ball pit and a bouncy house, and it was organized by Tumblr.
From what I understand, a bunch of people on Tumblr got together and they wanted to make something that was kind of equal to their own version of VidCon. So many of them came up and were like, okay, we need this much money in order to raise, support this convention.
Yes, he did.
Oh, we have a bird now.
Sometimes does not work.
Sometimes does not want to work. Ever.
No, Tiki don't work.
In case you're wondering, the
back to
dash
this
is
god-awful
standing for the hope.
It turns out that when people they were expecting over 40,000 to 50,000 people, and they were charging, I believe, a total between $45 and $50 for a day or weekend pass.
For a bounce house or a ball pit? I'd rather just go
Listen, this is what
house.
According to what I've read, is that either a week before the convention is supposed to start, or at least during the second day of the convention, the people in charge of the convention said, hey, we need to raise at least $17,000, otherwise this convention is not going to go on with the hotel. They're saying that the hotel demanded more money a week before the convention started. They raised, I think they raised what they had to make within like a day or two. But people are claiming that it is one of the biggest scams because they go in there, a lot of their special guests, from what I understand, that were made fun of, and the special guests that arrived later found out that they would have to pay for their own hotel rooms.
What? Well, first off, you do that, and second off, usually for these sort of things, when you do a convention or something like that, you actually have a contract with the hotel for a set price, and they can't, if they upgrade it, upgrade the cost for it, they're usually breaking contract. If not, then you are not looking at the contract very well when you start that off. And that's
what people.
This is people on Tumblr we're talking about, James. I'm pretty sure most of them don't know how the outside world works anyhow.
But at the same time,
just put runes on a squirrel skin.
at the same time, that's the sort of thing that you should be looking for, and that's why it takes official people that go to school to learn how to do this.
That is a good point, but again, we're talking about people on Tumblr here.
Who just decided one day that they wanted a convention that happened like VidCon. Now, from what I've seen of the numbers that came along, somewhere between like maybe 1,000 and 5,000 people showed up. Wow. When they were expecting at least 40,000 to show up.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way in hell.
And you know, they made, from what I understand, they made fun of guests. They made the guests pay for their own rooms, and once the guests found out, they booked out of the hotel.
I would have too.
And you know, they only had, from the pictures that we've seen, there was only a ball pit and a bounce house.
In what essentially looks like a giant concrete warehouse.
Exactly.
Mind you, they probably just took a random picture off the internet and plastered it.
No. This is from actually, the photo is actually from people.
On-site photography.
No. This is from was actually taken by a member of the convention.
Oh, well, that explains the good quality.
And people who actually went into the convention.
That sounds like they just took a bunch of admission and were like, shit, we don't have any attractions, went to Walmart and bought a bounce house and a ball pit.
Well, here's what ended up happening. I think several panels were canceled because either the guests left or they weren't properly prepared. So what they would give in order to like repay repay admissions, they would give them 1 extra hour in the ball pit.
Oh my god, this is like the best convention ever.
Now here's my question, what was the time limit in the ball pit?
I don't know.
And you get an extension in the
Who
ball pit
spends
for
an hour in the ball pit? They better do at least more than one person at a time.
Extension in the ball pit sounds like a
To be fair though, remember Ralph had to work at the bounce house at Wasabi.
That sounds...
Okay, but the bounce house, it's a bounce house. You could go in there, you can do backflips and anything. What the fuck are you gonna do in less than a 20-inch
Yeah,
pool?
you better rent that. You better rent that ball pit to either fuck your girlfriend or at least get a little makeout.
It was like one of those
during
little
this
kiddie
god-awful
pools that you have to
convention.
pump up. And they just threw balls in there. It wasn't like this giant-ass ball pit.
It was an inflatable fucking pool.
You could
with
fit at the
balls.
most like 3 people in there.
Who needs 3 people to jerk off? No, the fuck?
That's a triangle jerk? No, a circle jerk?
No.
That's the Triforce.
Oh my god.
One's power, one's courage.
The one that's turning away is the sharp one, and that's wisdom.
Okay, now here's something that I found really funny at the kicker, is that people were starting to demand their money back, including those who had donated money to this because it went so horribly wrong. What did these people do? They put out a long sheet of paper and told people, write your name on it and how much you donated.
I would donate $1. I donated 1,000.
How much do you want to bet the people who actually donated money online are not going to get that money back?
I want a
Yeah,
penny.
probably not. Because they don't want to make that community trip halfway across the country.
A penny for your thoughts?
Second off, what makes you think that they're not gonna lie about how much they did?
I feel like this is like the meme where it's like, this nickel can save a kid in Africa. It's like, why the fuck did you send it to me?
Yes.
You know, that story reminds me about that scam about the penis enlargement pills that they were
Starrring Bob?
and they sent the box and it had magnifying glass in it.
Technically, that is not a scam. You look through it and enlarges your penis.
Technically,
They didn't say how.
technically rainbows are made of water, but no one cares about that.
Not to
They didn't say
mention,
it was a permanent growth.
not to mention, these are Tumblr trolls you're dealing with right here. So everybody's going to write down their name as Spartacus and say that they donated all of it.
Hey, You don't know our lifestyles. You don't know what we do all day.
Wait, what?
You're right, I don't, because I don't have a Tumblr.
You
Therefore,
can't keep it on Tumblr.
yeah, because you have no life, white girl.
Because you have to have no IQ to get on Tumblr. That's the problem.
Oh my god.
Stuff on Tumblr is hilarious.
So
And it finds its way to Facebook eventually, so what's the point?
yeah.
3 months later.
I would rather
So
have
what
the
can we-
filtered out version.
What can we learn from this disaster? Because this is not the first time the con has tried to rise up and then fail on it.
Dash stands for Dashed Hopes and Dreams.
Learn how to
Get scammed?
learn how to organize shit. Otherwise, you kind of end up with this big boiling pot of shit.
Don't let social media try to prevent something.
Don't trust Tumblr.
Hey, if you're gonna do a special event, think about taking something like a special event planning class because it irons out a lot of troubles.
Or hire someone to do it for you.
Going back,
That's even
Tumblr
better.
can recommend a lot of good stuff, like porn. What? Log of porn on Tumblr.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could get a more successful get-together accidentally digging to the bottom of your freezer and finding hamburger and inviting people over to have a barbecue.
Hey,
That probably would have been better.
We won't have the ball pit then. We would have to go buy a pool.
And you could probably make more money.
I have a tiny little pool.
You guys
we have
can
tiny
probably make
little
more money
pool.
by charging a buck per burger.
bigger than that pool.
If you think about it, hamburger is about $2, $3 per pound, or you can get about there. If that's the case, and you paid $1 and you did a 6-ounce burger for each, you would make at least 100% income.
You know what's sad? We also have a bounce house, so that means that we can be better than them because we can be serving hamburgers.
Well, they were probably serving food there. It was at a hotel.
I don't think so.
No, they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna let all food
There's a
profits go to
restaurant
you
across the street.
Did you not see how they decided? Didn't like a lot of these places when you do that sort of thing, the hotel they want a slice of that pie, and that's why they do a lot of these at the convention centers and stuff like that, because they're already getting a slice out of all the rooms that they're charging for. But then most of them they do have a cafe or something like that, restaurant. And that's how they get even more money. And they'll say, hey, if you want to come here and have this thing here, you've got to have us cater.
All right, now, will we be seeing DashCon next year?
Hell no.
Or is this like, it's dead, buried, it's just rotting in the earth?
I'm surprised by this time next year we'll hear about a suit.
I make my own con with blackjacks
and hookers.
In fact, forget the con?
As a matter of fact, they could probably turn this god-awful disaster into something actually profitable. It's like, hey, you remember that god-awful, horrible thing we did last year? Well, let's make them expect the same thing, except make it awesome this time. And
Three people
hookers.
show up and it's just 3 people have a con.
Yeah, 3 people have a con to themselves, and everybody's sitting here wondering why. Why only 3 people showed up when they were actually serious this time? But that's what happens. That's what happens when you fuck up.
Once. Well, it's like what happened with
It's like going to Taco Bell and them not giving you a quesadilla. Why would you go to Taco Bell?
It's like what we're
give you a quesadilla and a burrito.
It
comes out of tubes. You have to wrap it yourself. You're paying like $3 extra.
Anyhow, this gigantic troll could actually turn around next year to be something epic. So it all depends on how they handle it.
All right, well, we'll check in next year. We'll see how they're doing. We'll see whether or not they show up.
We were on that subject way too long.
If anything, this will just show people that are looking to make a profit that there are ways to do it if you do it right, and there are ways to do it even better if you know how to do it.
And they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
And if they're doing it that wrong and they pull together that much money, think about someone who knows what they're doing could do.
Yeah. Take the hint Tumblr. Get somebody who can organize well.
Yeah. Get someone who has a degree in it. They know what they're doing.
All right, next up on our discussion list is, of course, parents selling their kids to feed their video game addiction.
I did see that.
They're selling their kids.
I did see that. Like wholesale, he was a kid, he's about 25 pounds, I'll sell him for about $200. Or are they like saying, come on, quarter, Jimmy?
I think it's. I'm actually go walk in the right the stairs and counting the bed.
Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Caboose, hold on, wait a minute.
If I can sell it,
Say that again,
beats the shit out of like kicking your wife down the stairs and just kidding already.
Well, I was gonna say something along the same lines as Caboose, but not quite as blunt there. It is better than abortion.
Caboose has no filter and we're laughing out.
It's just a step down from slavery.
Well, I have sex and like
So, no, it is slavery. It's child slavery.
That's the joke.
So, I don't even know if this is actually fake. Can you like break it down a little bit? Like, was there a news feed that went out? Hey, stop selling your kids.
There was. I can't find it. I can't fucking remember who reported it.
saw it.
I think it was on Fox News who reported it though.
I saw it. No, I saw it
I'll
on.
sell
I
you
saw it on
mine.
AOL. I saw it on Yahoo. I saw it on all the news.
Who the hell still uses AOL?
My parents
Hipsters.
have that one. It's still funny.
Yahoo is too mainstream.
No, it's one of those like, I need you to fix the internet for me. Okay, let me get on, and it's right there, and that's their website searcher. But
That's painful.
But like when you see it on that many different sites, Google had it, everything had it.
That is absolutely painful to think that people still use AOL.
More painful than parents selling their children into slavery.
You gotta
Anyhow,
remember, when someone logs on AOL, they're probably like, oh my god!
yeah, it would burn any modern person.
Make your sleeves too.
Hey, at least I got them to stop using Explorer.
Thank God.
Thank God for the small miracles.
Anyhow, yeah.
We're
All
good baby
I,
steps.
all I can imagine is being at GameStop with your daughter and being like, "Oh man, I'm $10 short of the Devil May Cry collection. Here, take my daughter." All right, cool. Here's your games. Here's your games. It's like you go organize these alphabetically, right?
Child's only worth like $10.
Not if they can. Not if they can.
It's huge.
Not if they can.
If GameStop can handle you down, they will do it.
Man, if they could read, they'll pay up to $15 for it.
Because all I can imagine at that point is the GameStop employee looking at your daughter and being like, you know your alphabet, right? Go organize those alphabetically. He gets free child labor. You get your Devil May Cry collection.
And the kid earns, learns
And the
a
kid
good
learns
working
life
hard
skills.
Yeah, life skills.
There's a Dewey Decimal System.
Quote unquote life skills.
But this is not the first time this has been reported. It's just we've heard this over that people in China, Japan, in Europe, and all over
America.
Anywhere not in the Western Hemisphere.
But my only question is, where do you go to sell your kid? Who do you
Under a bridge.
Dark alley.
Who do you call? Do you call your drug dealer?
No.
I'm pretty sure anybody who has flesh falling off of them and is constantly scratching themselves is a good start point.
Well, what you do is you
I was
go
thinking
back to listings for sexual predators and you start making bids. You'd like,
Okay, maybe that's how it works.
Craigslist.
Look for pedophiles.
Why?
Because shut your whore mouth, Caboose.
podcast. Who are you? State your name.
Hi, Damon.
Hi, Damon.
Welcome, Damon, to the show now.
Just because we don't have video, they don't know who you are.
He's Batman.
Damon recently got married. Congratulations. Woo! By the way, he's gay, so if you're Republican or Christian or anything,
Go fuck yourself.
go fuck yourself.
So
What Republican or
We're talking about selling our children for video games.
It was just recently reported that a couple sold their child.
Now to clarify, we're not actually discussing it, we're discussing the issue of it.
I'm frightened at the fact that it's sold their child and not attempted to sell their child. No, it went through.
Video games?
Somebody
What game did they buy?
What the
We don't.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I want to know what they did buy.
It's like
Dead or alive.
you better have at least got.
If it was a good game, if it was something...
If it was the Skyrim limited edition with the dragon statue, I can understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it was an actual working copy of Super Mario RPG,
No.
there you go.
Back then it was like
Or
$230.
There are worse things that can happen. If anybody remembers this a while ago, there was an ad on Craigslist that did get reported. The couple was trying to sell their baby for meth.
Not that they were trying to just sell it to somebody who has men. They were literally trying to sell their child to somebody to a good home to have money for men. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think that works.
No, it doesn't. At the same time, though, I mean, you have to admit,
at least they wanted the
baby to go to good
What are they
home.
doing a screen check for pedophiles, though?
If you're going to sell your baby, you better be getting a fucking copy of Blue Dragoon, or no, Legend of the Dragoon. That's right. It's like
not digital.
It's not digital, like a $500 game, $500 PlayStation game. You better at least be trying to get something.
Wait, that's what the thing is?
Is that much?
I hate that game just in
It's not that much.
It's not that much.
But it's how hard it is.
It is a triple-digit number. I know that for sure.
It's kind of like trying to find a black copy of Final Fantasy VII.
Well, I was
People
gonna
think
say
it's a $99 game, but digital copy brought that price
Yeah.
down to about like 40.
Mario RPG is the same way.
Good luck. That's all I can say.
Earthbound is another one. There are games like that are.
Why do you think I emulate?
Why do you think it's still
the welfare of a child against a video game?
True. I'm still mad at the one time that I actually found the Final Fantasy III copy for the Super NES and I didn't buy it.
Okay, Wabi-kun just joined us from the bathroom, and he just found out what we learned, and he's shocked and he's just shocked and
Done. Nope.
He's just running away before we try to do the same thing with him.
Apparently, the child is pooing himself. Maybe we should sell Wabi-kun for a video game.
That's what I was saying.
What would we sell it for?
Let's get a Wii U. I don't know. He's pretty big. Let's get a Wii U off of him.
At least.
At least
the Wii U.
Sorry, I still have to go a little less, or a little more recent, a little less classic. PS3. I think he's worth the PS3.
Or at least a 3DS.
What the
XL? I mean, he's XL. He's XL. The system's XL.
That generation.
Or we could just create a child abduction game.
PS3 with all the Final Fantasy is the same. That's all I want. PS3.
Anyhow, yes, this act of human negligence
selling
is
trafficking.
just yeah.
I mean, there's so many different words.
Is absolutely disgusting.
This makes me laugh because, we're all appalled by it. We all understand why we should be appalled by it. But like, I literally sat in an ethics class and we could not agree in an ethics class that slavery was wrong. Could not agree on it, but yet we're fairly, for the most part, at this table, in agreement that the trafficking of human beings is wrong.
You can't say everybody because I don't agree.
I said just about everybody.
Okay, Jebus, you would sell your own mother
But then again,
for 4 sets of wheels to a car you don't have.
But then again, man. But then again, Manta, it does Caboose. The only thing that disgusts Caboose are those horrifying pictures at Walmart where the fat old women have those paunches hanging out of the front of their shirt. That's what it takes to gross out Caboose. That's what it takes to make him.
Me and Hobby have seen that.
By the way,
at the bus stop.
That's what takes him to contemplate life, is these absolutely atrocious people walking around Walmart with absolutely
Nothing on.
Yes.
And you know what? We see that and we immediately discuss it. Yes, to think about it. Think about that. Yes, to think about it.
But anyway, selling your children for video games is wrong. Don't do it unless you really, really think you can get away with it. And
Don't use Craigslist either.
And don't use Craigslist. Don't buy chicken nuggets off of Craigslist. Don't get pizza off of Craigslist.
Don't
you
buy
lazy
shrimp out of a
bastards.
And then
Don't buy sushi from a gas station.
Whoa. Are you
And
saying
always tip your
I'm
waiter.
not supposed to take candy from the nice man in the rape van?
No.
No.
But yeah, take candy from me. See?
Like, where was this information?
What about the man in a truck?
Mikey,
Where was this information?
Mikey, let's figure that out. I'll go into my truck.
I know, breaking news.
Wamaku, how do you know that you aren't just
hold on,
imagining
guys.
kidding me right now?
Breaking news! Kim Kardashian has a video game that she is planning to release. She is estimating she is estimating they'll make over $200 million.
Why is this
The question is, will this be as bad as the Mary-Kate and Ashley games?
I don't know. Well, listen, it's just a mobile game, so we don't have to worry. It's on the phone.
So Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball Kim Kardashian Edition.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't mind that.
Actually, from what I'm looking at, it just looks like one of those little girl grades where all you have to do is just switch the clothing around, and then you put. Yeah, it's a photo shoot game.
It's so funny. My sister absolutely hates when she sees shit like that. She's like, "This is what the video game community sees me as. This is what I really see myself
Allow
as."
me to give the best example that I can as to how bad of an idea this is.
Well, actually, it's already out, so.
Well, this has got awfully terrible. I'm going to tell you what their next release title is going to be. It's going to be Twerk Twerk Revolution.
They have Xbox Live items for that.
Why do you think the thing that's gonna break the Kinect out into the world is?
After this Kim Kardashian game becomes popular, it will be Twerk Twerk Revolution.
One of the developers of Blue Mobile
That's disgusting.
states, and I quote, "It might be the biggest game of the year."
Yeah, right.
How high do you have to be to think that a Kim Kardashian game will be the biggest game of the year?
Wait. I need to answer this question with a serious reply. As high as the people at Team Sonic for the created Sonic Boom. That is how high you have to be.
Hey, Sonic Boom has a good theme song. I don't even want to hear that. As long as the theme song is good, it's good.
I'm not even going to touch that because I have faith in Sonic Boom.
What?
So
Okay, let's go with Sonic Boom.
It was still better. Anything is better than Sonic 06. That Team Sonic was incinerated on the spot.
Incinerate that game, because if I have to run 2 seconds and then get a loading screen, 2 seconds more, and the loading screen is about 15 minutes long, that game's shitty.
This is a perfect lead into our next subject, correct?
Yes.
Games that make us wait and wait
And wait.
and wait.
Oh my god.
I don't think Dark Souls would count, but. Well, hold on.
Every time you die, you have to sit on the loading screen, and that's all you do is die.
That's what.
That's motivation!
That's
Okay, well, let's go around the table. What game burns you the most with waiting?
Shit.
Well,
any PS1 game.
Any game in the league, I get stuck with a feeder.
honestly, and I hate to be a total ripoff from the Ego Raptor, but it just got implanted into my mind. It's any modern Zelda game. After Ocarina of Time, it's all waiting. You wait to open.
Mask is not all waiting.
Yes, it was. You had to wait until the fucking third day came around, and then you had to wait to play the song. You had to wait to wake up in your bed.
You had to wait through the song.
You had to.
No, you don't have to wait till the third day. That's only the first cycle. After that, you can do whatever you want.
The point is, it was so fucking repetitive. You have to play a song to go back in time. You have to play a song for it to slow down. You have to wait to open a fucking chest. You have to wait 3 seconds to just get a fucking rupee, and then another 2 to get through the text to do
Play
it.
Oracle of Seasons? Fucking do anything in that game, you had to fucking.
That's because that was her hand.
I am not saying.
I'm not saying it was a bad game. It's just you had to do.
I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying any.
You felt like God. You were
You know what? There is a worse game than that out there, and I'm just going to say it right here now. PS2, the Xenosaga 1 through 3 was terrible. If you wanted to watch a video game be played, you play that fucking game. Because all it is 9 hours of cutscene and 4 hours, or not even 4, like 2 hours of gameplay.
Have you ever played
That sounds kind of like, what was it, Metal Gear Solid 4.
Literally, if
that
you
was not a video
accidentally
game,
hit either
that was an
menu or
interactive
character
movie.
Switch, there's a minute 30-second wait.
I
So if you
just
accidentally hit the
recently
toggle button, you have to wait for a minute 30, and then it loads up and then go again. It literally is still talked about this to this day because of the stupid ass loading screens that they put on a Super Nintendo game that never had loading loading screens to begin with whatsoever.
Then again, you know, there's also the DS franchise, Phoenix Wright. If you ever want to see a game about waiting and doing nothing. Play Phoenix Wright. Although the interactive story is pretty funny, to be honest. You know, there's objection. This is Capcom 2.
But I recently just got the HD collection for the Final Fantasy X games. I'm sitting there playing because I've never played it before. Never really.
Oh, you poor man! You poor bastard!
It's literally just cutscene, fight, press A, press A, press A.
Drop a Phoenix down,
and then you're just like,
to defend Final Fantasy, once you get to a certain point in any Final Fantasy, then it's just no more cutscenes, and then you get to do whatever.
They need to put a warning label on games saying warning contains this many hours and this many minutes of cutscenes, not including your own mistakes.
This is like the HD remake, and then they still don't have the skip cutscene. So if you die, you have to go back to it again.
They've had it on 10.2 since the PS2 remake. They have it now, but yeah, I give it. They should have added the feature to skip cutscenes.
Well, and they did that for the new when they redid Kingdom Hearts, because the first Kingdom Hearts didn't do that, and you would die like on hard, and you would just have to rewatch the cutscene. And this is like for every boss scene.
And I think this warning label would be most applicable to Ocarina of Time again.
No.
Yes, but we're talking about
any kind of Hitman, you have to sit there and wait.
No. I mean, we mean like cutscenes.
And Outlast. From fucking Two-Man.
I got it right here. I got it right here. Halo 3. Not only did you have to wait for everything to you had no. If you wanted to skip to any different chapter, you literally had to wait almost like 20 minutes for the
loading.
Okay. I second Halo because Halo is just crap. No. I'm not even gonna lie, you play through the game to achieve nothing.
Okay,
absolutely nothing.
No one knows bad loading times until you played The Sims 2.
The Sims in general.
Sims 2 was the worst. You would sit there for an hour just waiting. For The Sims 3, when I was customizing my character, to change a hat, it took me 20 minutes. Just for it to load.
Terrible.
Demon, get him.
It was terrible.
RuneScape to get him.
RuneScape? What's that about RuneScape?
That took longer than anything. Load screens
Nope, I have to go for the kneecap.
You know what? Anybody play the online RPG Adventure Quest Battle-On?
Oh my god.
Terrible loading. At the time that game came out is when dial-up was still big.
Oh god.
That's when loading times were the worst. You waited half an hour to do an attack.
And to get to the server, you waited like an hour and a half.
Exactly. Thank you.
Please don't remind me playing that at the local library. I timed out so much in the middle of a battle, it was retarded.
Just saying.
But anyway, this label would be applicable to so many games. It's like when you're fucking talking to the goddamn owl in Ocarina of Time. Do you want to hear what I said again?
Fuck that. No! Fuck that. Who the hell puts no as yes or an owl who has a rant that fucking long? No.
That was no trolling. That was no. They were like seriously like no,
that's owling.
That's the only
That is owling. You're not trolling anymore once you reach that point. It is owling.
It's easy. To be honest, speedrunners don't even like. It's not even bother speedrunners. They hit the owl once, and they're like, "Oh, B, A."
Yeah. That's the worst part because that's the only time in that whole game that they actually do that. That is literally them trolling you.
I hate when they do that. Okay, off topic. When they put no as yes or yes as no, the first one, when you're just trying to button mash, they do it on purpose.
Pokemon Center lady?
That was literally my
You can have
answer.
100 speech and still fail, so.
It happened to me.
The point being,
I was like, all right, I got 100% speech.
the point being, modern gaming makes you wait so much because of tutorials, and you're just like, I know how to fucking do this already.
Longest.
Yes, you have, or they're just longer. You play them till the end of the game.
And then at the end of the game, they just kind of drop you in, like, all right, you know
Or
everything
what about
now.
those games that's just one giant tutorial?
I lied.
You know what the funny thing is, though? In a lot of the older games, they actually used to ask you. Like, I was playing Superstar Saga, the first Mario and Luigi game for the Game Boy Advance, because they had it on the Virtual Console for the Wii U. They asked me if I knew how to do every single thing. I'm just like, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. I don't remember that.
But what if you're that first-person player who just wants to go through and fuck tutorials and they're like, shit, how do I fucking play this game?
Go back up. That was like the brilliant thing about that.
You know what? Back in the day, video games didn't come with tutorials. You wanted to do something, you pushed every button to find out what it did.
No, you know what you used to do? You used to read the instruction manual with the game.
What about the games that don't have an instruction manual?
No, they do. Press A to crouch.
That stuff was bathroom material stuff. You did not read that outside the bathroom.
Yeah. Or when you're grounded and you have nothing else to do, you want to long for your video games, you just read video games.
See, this is me dating myself because I grew up in the 90s, in the early 90s.
I did too.
That was the whole thing. Because the background story for every game was in those guides.
True. And characters, if you want to know a little more about characters. But that's why I'm a little upset with video games nowadays. They don't have that extensive manual. If you're playing on the Vita, you have to.
Because I think the last extensive manual I read was the Halo 2 game manual, and that had the list of the species you were fighting, the list of the weapons you could pick up, the list of the vehicles you could drive or hijack.
Yes,
and then it gave you a backstory on what's been going on.
Because now every single instruction manual is a pamphlet.
Yeah,
with
it
all
is
the controls
3-4 pages. You're done.
Now, if you actually
or it's just a pamphlet of just read this terms and conditions.
If you actually do find one that's about 10 pages long, that's because they have literally put it in every single language you can think of.
Yeah, back then when you were able to read manuals, it would give you extensive what this is, what this is, what this is, what this is.
List of characters, their histories.
Yeah. It would give you hints and it would give you tips to how to combo stuff and whatnot.
I'm just saying, but if we're talking about manuals here, you know, if you read the manual for the Humvee, for the 14 Sierra Avenger system in the Army, that is child's play compared to just the manuals that come now.
And then there are those games that are they're nice, that they give you a short little tutorial and then they just drop you right in and let you discover it by yourself, kind of like Monster Hunter. Here's how you farm.
Wait, there's a tutorial in Monster Hunter?
Mikey, that entire thing that you had to go through before you could even hunt with us was the tutorial.
Don't even give me that. You were like, they started adding that type of tutorial in Monster Hunter 3. We did not get a tutorial in Monster Hunter or Monster Hunter 2 or Monster Hunter Unite. What they did is they're like, here, go. Oh, you have the last game? Here.
Okay.
You can no.
In the defense, you can calm down because even the original one, even though you did get a tutorial, it was still almost the exact same thing that we're getting in Monster Hunter 2. There is no tutorial mode. There is tiny, minuscule text you cannot fucking read. You're doing little tiny missions. It is not as if you're getting a hand-me-down guide and people are telling you what you can do.
Now Wabi-kun just kind of proved my point. He didn't even know it was a tutorial. And it was one of the best ones. That's how you know it's a good tutorial when somebody brings it up later and you're like, that was a fucking tutorial? Yes, that taught you how to farm. That taught you how to gather resources. It taught you how to use harpoons. It taught you how to cook meat. It taught you how to do all these things while seeming like it was on plot points.
I wish I got something more.
I just finished. If we're talking about Monster Hunter Freedom, and
well, here, speaking of Monster Hunter, let's go ahead and get right into our main event. Tonight we're going to go ahead and be talking about Monster Hunter 4.
Oh my god.
Features my dick?
No.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you mean the little joggies?
I was gonna go with the
little joggies, not the great joggies, the little joggies.
To be honest, that's my second reason why I would purchase a DS again.
That your second reason?
That's my second reason. The first is Monster Hunter, or not Monster Hunter, but
Pokemon?
Super Smash Bros.
Oh yeah.
Yes. My second is Monster Hunter. My third one is Pokemon because let's be honest, Pokemon video game is awesome. The first run you go through, but if you know the extensive mechanics as all older people do, it's just one of those. It gets really sad.
Well, with Ruby and Sapphire, there's so much replay value. But
That was the best story.
regardless, we're talking about Monster Hunter 4. Right?
So,
Ruby and Sapphire.
Go forward. Tell us about it, what you know, what we're expecting, and what we're hoping for.
Oh, so much. So, Capcom, with about 2 or 3 years ago, released a game called Dragon's Dogma. Now, what this essentially is your classic fantasy sort of game, and you know, you could pick your class, you could do all these different things, but the one redeeming fact about it was the fact that you could jump onto monsters and attack them while clinging to them. Thinking this was such a great idea, Capcom put it with Monster Hunter. So now we actually have moves that allow us to get on top of monsters now instead of just the casual stay at their ankles and hope that you knock them over. No. Now we actually have moves that allow us to climb onto them and just knock them over.
Also, now you can do that while they're down too.
No, it downs them.
No,
it downs them.
Yeah, so actually, I think that was one of my complaints for when I started playing Monster Hunter 3, is that you would have like these very tall creatures, the tall monsters, and you would have something that, you know, you only swing side to side with.
I was gonna say,
and then the last thing in the combo is the overhead arc.
Nope, never had that problem.
So obviously.
Well, think about it this way. Mine was a giant harmonica. I had the hitbox there.
Okay. So Manta, you use hammers and switch axes. Yes. Very heavy weapons, very slow movements. As does Trog use those as well.
I have no complaints.
The problem with
I don't either.
The problem with these is most monsters, when you get to a certain point, are too tall. They are too tall to reach the head.
At that point, you're within range with instant break.
Nope. I never still had that problem. My problem is they get too fast.
Yes, well, you're a hunting horn user, so you have much more reach than a switch axe or a hammer. But the point being is they kept running into this little problem of hammer users and switch axe users not being able to actually hit the head and do what they're supposed to do and actually knock them out.
Hammer users mostly.
Hammer users mostly, because they're rather short weapons. So, in Monster Hunter 4, they took the engine from Dragon's Dogma and made it so that you could climb onto these creatures and basically play a small little button-mashing mini-game to be able to knock them over. Now, this is a lot easier than chopping at their ankles and hoping that they eventually get exhausted enough to fall over.
We're half an hour to walk.
Yes. So, this is one of the new great features that they've added into that.
And I'm just happy that we get to jump finally.
Yes, and we get to jump.
And run. We can run and jump off of the...
In a game that you can't jump, it gets very frustrating.
Well, you can jump, but you know, you have to be running, and it's called dodge.
Yes, there are certain areas where you can...
I know, half the time it doesn't even work.
Yes. There are certain areas where you can jump off an elevated area and do a small hop and then keep running. No,
we're talking about like full-fledged jumping.
Yes. However, we do not have full-fledged jumping in this game. We actually do have aerial attacks now. So, one of the lesser-known weapons, lesser used weapons, is the lance. So the problem with the lance was it's a waiting game.
It is.
You sit there and you block and you attack and you wait and you block and you wait and then you attack. Now, lance users actually have a move that allows you to start running and then literally pole vault yourself onto the backs of these monsters. So imagine running and then sticking your lance in the ground, jumping up into the air and smashing your lance into the monster's face. That's one of the new moves. Longsword users.
Not to mention we have 3D maneuver fights now
on
top of cave walls.
I'll get to that. So longsword users can now do an uppercut onto the monster. They essentially grab the sword and jump and slice upwards so that you can essentially Shoryuken. Dual blade users kind of have this short hop and spin that they've always had that they are now interpreting into that. I haven't seen very many of the other weapons doing these. I think hammer users kind of use gravity and throw their hammer up and take it with. Allow their hammer.
So like how Thor flies.
It's essentially a Thor throw.
How do you toss yourself?
Now this becomes very important now that we're actually able to use the environment to our advantage. In all the other Monster Hunter games, you were essentially stuck
unless you were a gunner.
Unless you were a gunner, you were essentially stuck in just a flat surfaced area. You couldn't climb up onto very much. I mean, there were some areas for gunners to hide, but now
if you did, you got attacked by that fucking bug.
Yes, but even if you did, there were little annoyances. Now, just for example, there is now a jungle area that where you walk in, you see vines all along the cliffs, and then the vines even grow into a small canopy up top. Now you can climb over to the cliff and then scale these vines and get up onto this second platform. And they've made a lot of monsters that take
advantage of the vines.
Take advantage of this, like the Quechahuacha. It's essentially a
fox monkey.
It's essentially a fox monkey. And what it will do is if you're in the canopy, and it's below you, he will climb up and grab you by the ankles and pull you down and throw you down to the second level.
Holy crap.
Is it going to basically kind of be like, what was it, the baboon from Unite?
No, it is not like Congalala.
Don't they have that spider thing too?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so let me ask this. This is I want to say the 5th game in the series?
This is the 4th. It's Monster Hunter 4.
In the main series, so...
Yes.
What monsters from the old series are going to show up, and what new monsters are we going to see?
Okay, so from the old series... Okay, we'll get to that. So, essentially, all the new species that are coming out, all the old species that are coming out are Tiger X, Congalala, Manablos, Gravios, Brachydios is coming back from the 3rd game. Essentially, almost everything that was in the Unite games is coming back because people were complaining, "Oh, there's nothing from the old games in this."
So basically, this is going to have probably one of the biggest monster lists.
Oh yes, the monster list is enormous on this. She doesn't count because it's an MMO. It does not count. It's an MMO.
And also, this is the special edition version of it, basically, because we never get the original one. We always get the big one with all the subspecies and whatnot.
James is right. Essentially, what happens is Japan gets almost sort of a beta version of this game, and they work out the kinks and everything, and then they're like, all right, now that we know what we've done right and what we've done wrong with this game, we can release it in America, but with slight alterations. So, just for example, there's a monster called Zamtrios. Essentially, it's a shark, and when you piss it off, it grows ice armor that makes it really hard to, if you're a blade user, to actually damage it. You bounce off, which gives it opportunity to attack, etc., etc. Now, there's a subspecies that lives in the desert near the oasis that is the same shark, but he does different moves since he can't grow his own ice armor. I haven't exactly looked into it, but subspecies basically put a twist on something that you thought you knew about.
Well, kind of the same thing as with Glacial and regular Agnator, because it's fire and ice.
Yes.
You know, for the difference.
Sometimes subspecies will make a complete flip, like in Monster Hunter 3, there is a creature called Agnator. It normally is a lava-dwelling monster, but then when you get farther in the game, you realize that you have a subspecies that is essentially ice. Now, it's interesting because it plays off of that thing, the thing that I mentioned earlier about thinking you know the monster. Now, how Agnator works is when he's fresh out of the lava, that is the best time to attack him. Otherwise,
his body is soft and everything.
His body is soft, and then it hardens into armor. Glacial Agnator is the exact opposite. When he comes out of the ground, his armor is still hard, and he has ice on him. So you have to wait a little while. To actually start doing damage to him.
Or you just smash him off. You got one weapon.
Yes. But essentially what they do with subspecies is learning new things, having a new way to fight this monster, essentially.
Or they decide to do like that they did with Devil Joe and just say, hey, this is a hard fight, let's make it even harder for you. Let's make it pissed off.
Devil Joe will always be a bastard.
Savage Joe. Bastard.
Now new monsters coming to this game are the Zamtrios, that is the shark that I was just talking about.
We get shark armor?
Yes, it is beautiful.
Yes.
It's white and purple.
Looks like Gundam armor.
Yeah, it's essentially Blade Gundam armor. But we get the Znamtrios, which is sharks. There is a parasitic bug that actually works with a giant scorpion that you can fight. There are giant spiders coming to this game that
the bullfrog.
Tetsukabra is essentially a giant bullfrog with tusks that throws rocks at you. He also blocks your attacks with it.
And if anyone's interested, they actually did like a 30-minute game teaser of the Treehouse for Nintendo, and you can find it on YouTube or wherever. But they've actually showed footage of how to fight him and whatnot.
That's in 3 too.
I like to wait until he's right there in front of me, like, hey, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm like, alright, bring it, bitch.
Yeah. But you can look up demos. They have demos in English.
It is already out in Japan, so you can see gameplay of the regular version.
Now, there are 2 extremely big monsters that are new. Well, 3 extremely big monsters that are new to this franchise is a monster that has been dubbed by the community as Steve, because its official name has not yet been released, which is essentially an apex predator. You're used to fighting these giant wyverns that just blow fire at you and poison you and just kick your ass all over the place. And then you get to this point where you're like, all right, these things aren't anything to me anymore. And all of a sudden, this giant wyvern comes down and starts eating this thing that used to whoop you around everywhere, and you're like, holy shit, what the hell is this thing?
It's kind of like you got the high rank and you see Double Joe for the first time, and
pretty
you're just
much.
like,
So essentially, they have introduced an apex predator as your goal, and we'll just call it Steve for now.
Steve!
Yes, the leader out. See you later.
Goodbye.
Alright, unfortunately, Professor Jebus has to go, so he will be the podcast for now.
he has to get up early to go to the lab.
He has to go take care of all the children's
all the Pokemon. He's got Pokemon to give out to children tomorrow.
Now, another big monster that they've introduced into this is an Elder Dragon. Is an Elder Dragon that is a giant snake. Now, the thing that's interesting about this normally is in the Monster Hunter 3 format, you'd think, my god, this giant thing is a pain in the ass and I have to fight it in a land arena. No. In Monster Hunter 4, since we actually have to adapt to the environment that we're in, you are fighting him in a giant cave surrounded by big pillars of rock. Now what you do is the snake is centered in the middle of these small platforms, and you hop up or down these pillars depending on his attack formations. So you're essentially using the environment to your advantage with this one, and you actually get to climb on top of him. Concept usually only used with a monster in the Monster Hunter 3 franchise that is called Gen Morhan, essentially a giant sand whale that you can mine. Now, climbing onto the snake, you can get to the top of his head and actually mine his fangs and break them. This is something kind of new, kind of similar to breaking Gen Morhan's tusks.
Can't you mine Durham bullets?
Yes, you can.
As long as he's knocked down, so yeah.
Yes, or in a pitfall trap. But it's kind of a new concept to use the environment to your advantage to get onto a monster's back. And the last one that's kind of new is the Gore Magala. Now, this thing is pretty much the embodiment of darkness. It is a sleek black dragon that essentially spreads this virus.
Oh yeah, that's the dragon in the trailer.
Yes, now what it does is it infects other monsters with this virus, and it's almost like rabies. It makes them twice as fast and hit twice as hard, and they go into this frenzy. And the interesting thing about this mechanic is, if hunters can also catch this virus. Now, if it is a virus that rewards aggression. So if you catch this virus while fighting something that's infected, if you continually attack whichever creature gave you the virus, then you will instead get a boost towards everything, instead of what would happen if you run, which you will get many debuffs. I think your weapon grows less sharp, or your weapon gets dull faster. you're weaker to elemental attacks, and I think your defense goes down. So essentially, it rewards you for aggression. Now, it's not completely cruel as to where there's no cure. You can take what is called a null berry to get rid of it as if it were light.
Any other status effect.
Yeah. And they're bringing back several Elder Dragons that were in the old game. Teostra, which is essentially a giant fire chimera. Yeah, Diablos. Yeah. But Fatalis was a very big flagship monster back in the day. Essentially, imagine if the devil fucked a dragon. That's what this thing is.
Caboose, we might have found your real father.
It lives in the middle of a volcano and just has giant horns.
Isn't that the one the fucking dragon that made the world or something?
Yes, but that's in Monster Hunter 3.
Isn't that the one that you can't beat Monster Hunter anymore because of you had to do it online with multiple people, otherwise you couldn't beat it?
That's because it's G rank.
Yeah.
But they're also bringing back Kushaladora, a monster that uses wind. Nearly none of them actually use wind as a weapon, but when you fight Kushaladora, the entire area is just completely unstable. You're essentially in the middle of a typhoon. He's making a return in this game. Steve. And they are also bringing back a giant wyvern called a Cantor. Now, what this is he's pretty much the flagship red dragon kind of design, but without wings. Okay. And he's really big and he hits hard. It was in the former games. I never had the pleasure of actually fighting it because I didn't have a whole lot of people to play Unite with when I had a PSP.
Alright, now, we're pretty sure that the usual weapons from 3 are going to be transferred over, like the great sword, the long sword, lances, gun lances. Even though that was a new weapon, the gun lance.
The switch axe was the new weapon in Monster Hunter 3. In Monster Hunter 2, I think they introduced the gun lance. I'm not entirely sure about that.
So are they bringing back any new old style weapons, and what are they planning for any kind of new weapons?
They have brought back all the weapons from 3 up to this point, and now they have introduced the charge axe, which essentially is a mix between the sword and shield and the switch axe. Yep. So how it happens is normally it's in sword and shield mode, and when you melee against an opponent, it charges up a small file. Now what it does is you essentially rub all of this energy that you've been getting off of making these melee hits against these monsters onto your shield, and it fills up these files. Now these files will augment it with more power. After that, you essentially take your shield and slip it onto your sword, and it becomes what would be the axe form in the switch axe, and which allows you to use up these files to use whatever kind of special technique has been added to this. So let's say it's a dragon file weapon, then it will do dragon type damage when you switch it into this switch axe mode when you use it, and it'll expend these files, so you can essentially charge up all of this energy with them.
Okay. Alright.
And then the other one is the Insect Glaive, which I am extremely excited for. It's kind of like a nice balance between the long sword and the dual blades in terms of speed. There's a blunt end and then there's a bladed end. It's very quick, it's very fast, and my favorite part about it is that you can actually pole vault with it onto monsters' heads.
Yep, it charges up like the others, and then you can use the charges to
yes, one of the features to it is it has a little beetle that sits on your arm, and you can shoot it, and depending on the kind of monster you're fighting, it will come back with a buff, and when you get all 3 buffs from it, you enter sort of a super mode, how all weapons have sort of a super mode.
Okay, alright. Now, is there any other information that you got for us from Monster Hunter 4?
They're bringing back feline companions.
Okay, so we're gonna have kitty companions.
Yes, we're gonna have cats instead of shakalakas like in 3.
Yep. Did you hear that, Egoboost? You get a bunch of pussies following you around. It's like a dream come true for you.
Isn't that the average day?
And you actually can give them equipment and whatnot.
Yes, and you can actually customize your cat's armor and weapons this time.
That was the big thing when we went to Wasabi's. They had all the different models for them.
Alright. Skippy. Yes?
But you
Go fill it up with water for me then, Egoboost.
Yeah, I know. And then they changed the mechanics. Oh, right. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Alright, now are we hoping that Capcom doesn't screw this up?
Oh, they have it.
They have not. When they release a Monster Hunter game, they make sure that it will be. They will make sure that it will do well.
Think about how long it's taken them just to get this version of it done from the original bare bones beta version of it.
Yes, Monster Hunter 4 has been out in Japan for about 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
So
they've put
plenty of time to work out every single
thing. At least another half a year.
My Fallout 4
but yeah, Monster Hunter 4 will come out early 2015. Monster Hunter 4 for Japan actually comes out in October. So.
All right. Now, have they announced like any special editions with anything? Or?
Not in America yet, but in the English version, if you pre-ordered for about 8,000 yen, something around there extra, they give you a figure, a model of a hunter in the Gormagala armor, along with the cat figure who also has Gormagala armor. Or, depending on which one you pre-order, you can also get a female hunter in the Kirin armor. And same thing with the cat. The cat is in the Kirin armor.
They'll probably do like they did with 3, where they had a limited edition.
You know what would be sick is if they gave yes.
I hate when they do that.
Everybody wants the 3D. Everybody wants the special edition 3DS because
is there really
Japan.
a special edition 3DS?
Well, in Japan they have 3 of them. One of them has Gormagala on it, which is their flagship monster for 4. The other one is Rajang, which essentially think a giant golden gorilla with bull horns. It's essentially the giant monkey from Dragon Ball Z. That's the
Ozaru.
Oh god.
Yeah, the Ozaru. Essentially, they actually made a joke about it in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. You actually used to be able to download a special Rajang mission where he would hold his hands up in the air and drop a giant energy ball on
Attack on Titan.
The Attack on Titan armor is a Japan exclusive only event armor, and I'm not sure if it will carry over into this. And the third special edition 3DS was another Gormagala one that was black and purple and came with this black leather case that looked like its scales. And it also came with a special edition Rathalos Hunter, which is running somewhere around $200 on eBay right now.
And we have been lucky in the past, and we have gotten some of the special ones that they do decide to do. We did get like the Ocarina of Time, we did get the Fire Emblem one, so we can still hold our breath about it, although it probably won't.
Yeah, I really do hope they come out with a special edition 3DS, because the second it happens, mine's going away, and I am.
I was so mad because I got my XL, and then I found out that they were going to do the Fire Emblem one here. I'm sad.
Oh, the Fire Emblem one is so gorgeous.
It was so
cobalt
gorgeous.
blue and
So
silver lining.
Oh,
so nice. But yeah.
Oh, wait. Speaking of which, now we get to transition over to this big news that happened yesterday or 2 days ago. The new video for Smash Brothers. What are our thoughts about it? The new characters.
There's the dude with like the
Robin and Lucina.
Yep. They basically announced that pretty much everyone from Awakening is going to be in there.
They actually retracted the statement that Chrom was going to be in
Chrom
there.
is going to be
the alternate skin to Lucina.
Oh, okay.
The
so they're going to
alternate
do that.
gender.
The way that they were doing that before was he was going to be in the alts for the final Smash for Robin.
Oh, that would be good too.
I'm gonna be in a game?
No, you just had a coincidence.
Yes, for now, you're going to be in a game.
For a generic name, and that happened to be it.
Spelled completely different.
Congratulations.
It's basically the avatar that you get for Fire Emblem Awakening, and you get to customize. So there's actually 2 forms of her fit.
Still, fuck all you guys, I'm in a game.
I'm just excited for Lucina. I'm really hoping not for another Marth clone.
I think she is unfortunately going to
they
be.
are
I think
Marth.
they're going to. I think what they're going to have to do
She's
though.
Chrom's daughter.
Yeah. Well, they're all descended from Marth, though. Well, that's the point. They're descended from Marth.
The point being, I hope they at least make her diverse enough to where she's not an exact.
They're gonna
Marth
have to, just because first off, she is female. and that does make a big difference.
I just want to smash on people as Roy.
It's not like his power is focused in the stick. It's more
No Roy.
I think the funniest thing is
But all
that
my power is in the tip, and it
I think the
explodes
funniest
in
thing
fiery
is
goodness.
for that is everyone wanted to play Roy's story, then we got Elwood's, his dad's story, but we never got Fire Emblem 7, which was Roy's
I
story.
want to play Roy.
It's such a hard one though. It is actually considered to be one of the hardest Fire Emblem games.
Roy's even stronger.
But anyhow, I am looking forward to Smash Bros. I'm looking forward to Monster Hunter 4, and I'm looking forward to Ruby and Sapphire.
He was the quickest, hardest hitting in Melee.
The difference between Marth and Roy, what made Roy better, it's just because he was easier to use because he didn't take as much finesse, because Roy used a broadsword so it did more damage, whereas Marth was using a rapier and it's more the way that he works is the closer to the tip of the sword, the more damage he does. So you wanted to keep him at a distance to a degree.
Marth is still a lot higher on the tier list than Roy.
Oh yeah.
That's because people know who Marth is.
No, I mean like.
Well, he's the first one. They had to give homage to him because he is the first Fire Emblem.
Lucario number 10. That's all I'm gonna say.
But but I thought it was really cool because they actually went through and they gave him all the different magic classes, and then it goes up to the line because it goes Thunder, L Thunder, and then they do Thornton for the final smash.
I'm excited to use Nosferatu. I hope it drains HP.
No, it does, and it heals you. That was like the best part. I was like, why the hell did they give him that? That's the almost is. Well, because that's basically what it is. It's dark magic that hurts your opponent.
It's vampire magic.
Yeah, it gives you health.
So, but it's gonna be broken.
But the way that they're doing it is, I think that they're doing it the same way, kind of how like Lil Mac is, because he can only his major big thing he has to charge him up. I think the way that his spells work, because the way that he was showing them is
how fast you can expend them.
Well, and it's the books.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like in the game.
That's almost like Peach's like Dead Radish. I think it's just gonna give you a randomization.
I think it kind of will. I think it kind of won't.
And just hope that you get
kind of like back in Melee's Luigi's one-hit wonder. Even if you were at 0% HP, if he hit you just right with his fingers, you instantly died.
But I think that's what it's kind of gonna be. But
he fingered you to death.
He's gonna be an interesting, nice, rounded out character. He's gonna be melee as well.
Now, are they doing anything else for Smash Bros?
Captain Falcon got re-announced too.
Re-announced? Okay.
So.
Captain Falcon is a new challenger.
Okay, now I can't.
Be broken in the next.
I don't want to come off as bad, but every time I hear Captain Falcon in a game, I just think of
show me your moves.
That from There Will Be Brawl, the YouTube series.
Oh.
Shut up, Ray!
Davis Pit.
Cabooses Pit. He totally is. Egoboost is Captain Falcon.
I don't know about that.
You mean Captain Falcon?
It's pretty much good.
Show me your moves.
I think the funniest thing is
Tim.
There's only one fish that can touch the face of his angel.
God, I forgot.
I think still the funniest thing today is that you are still either good with Captain Falcon or you are good with Ganondorf. You are never really usually good with both.
I was good with both.
No, you weren't.
It's because it's just the knee of truth.
Alright, well here.
Well, it's the
I'm
timing.
going Princess
Two
Peach, where
different
she just
timing.
ass checks you right off the fucking.
The hip check.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on because we're kind of running out of time here.
Yep.
Let's go ahead, we'll get back on the monster subject right now with the announcement that, Legendary has announced that they are in the makings for a new script for Godzilla. Now, how did we feel about the Godzilla that came out?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
About this.
Josh had a little fangirl
No, we
moment when
didn't.
it came to the.
I think we all kind of had a little fangirl moment.
I thought it was
When I
so
saw the
funny.
blue on his back, I kind of jizzed myself.
Yeah, pretty much.
I saw the monster and I was just like, I'm done. This is Starship Troopers. I'm out of here.
Actually, I think that's kind of what most people said about the monsters, that they
But
reminded.
that's what happens when you work at the theater and you have to watch it.
No.
So much.
I went and I saw it opening night with the rest of you guys.
I didn't go with you guys.
Yeah, he went.
You guys went a different day, but we all went and we all sat together. It's just one of those things where if I see something from a different one, and then I just heard that mountain moved. That's a Devil Joe, and I'm just like, well, I've just lost all credibility in this.
I just lost all.
And this movie, I'm just done.
Trolling can always ruin any movie.
Two times.
Now, people have said that people have complained that there wasn't enough Godzilla.
Well, they teased him so much. They didn't have.
That's why I think it's a good idea to make a second one. Is because this was all a setup. You're like, what's he look like? What's he look like? What's he look like? They get to that point. You know what he looks like. They go through all the stupid plot crap. He's an alpha. He's a apex predator. Excuse me, in the alpha part. He's an apex predator.
He's the alpha apex predator.
Well, the problem.
And then towards the end, he annihilates them completely, and it kind of sets them up for the next movie, which will have less bullshit military plot.
Less people,
We all know that's not going to happen though. For the sheer fact that when it comes to Godzilla anyway, it was originally meant to be a plot movie in its own. It's just the giant monster battles is what kind of get.
Well, people were complaining about
giant monster battles.
There was no plot in this one though.
There was a plot.
There was.
It was the barest of plot.
It was a simple little plot that they threw in there just because this is
all of these nuclear testing facilities keep going down. Why?
That was not the whole point. The whole point was this guy was trying to protect his family, like his dad was trying to failed to protect him and his mother.
Yes, but
that was the whole point, and he was trying to get back to his family. That was the whole point. Was him trying to get to his family.
The main plot was why are nuclear facilities going down? Apparently, obviously, giant fucking bugs.
The biggest plot of that entire thing was what happened like the first 10 minutes of the movie, which was kaboom. Why did this happen?
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering who that nice little female voice is, this is Jen, who decided to plop right in like most of the other guests that we've had.
I'm watching a giant monster fight.
But essentially, I think they could make Godzilla 2, let's call it that for now, a little better.
Nerd battle.
With a little less human plot and a little more monster ass kicking.
Okay. So that was the other thing. Is they felt like they
were testing the water
it too much.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing that people bitch about Halo 4. It's bad. Well, it's like no shit. It's a fucking setup for the next one.
Well, it wasn't so much of that. It's that they were getting to a fight and then all of a sudden
they cut away.
You were cutting away to something else, and then you come back and the fight was over.
I agree.
That was the whole problem.
That actually was one of the main complaints that people had, where you had the setup for this awesome fight, and then they would cut away to like New York or like San Francisco where the wife or somebody was.
Yeah.
While the fight's going on, and all you see is like the aftermath of the fight. Like I think
some of it, but
like I think when you first see Godzilla walk out onto the tarmac at the airport, he does his roar. They get ready to fight, and then it cuts away to San Francisco where little Timmy's watching the news. And he's seeing the two monsters go at it, and he's seeing the reporters panicking because they don't know what the fuck is going on.
He thinks he's watching a cartoon show.
Well, yeah. And then Mommy walks in and is like, what are you watching? Fox News? No, we're not watching that crap. And then she actually sees the monsters.
If you think about it, every single Godzilla movie is like that. He shows up, whatever is fucking up whatever, they have a brief scrap and then it runs off to go do something. Whether it's to burrow underground to metamorphosize.
It was paying homage despite it all because every other Godzilla movie is the exact same way. It did the exact same
build-up. They would actually show the little scrap.
Yeah,
that was the thing. With this one, they didn't even show it.
That is a good point.
They were too focused on what was happening inside the little tram
if you're
car.
gonna hire A-list actors, they're gonna need to get their stupid time in. So maybe next time you should hire some B-list actors who are just happy to get paid.
A-list actors.
The guy from Malcolm in the Middle, the dad from Malcolm.
The died within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Kick-ass.
He didn't die.
The dad didn't die.
No, they showed it. He was on the fire.
Well, not in the first 10
He
minutes.
was on the fire
The mother
at
did.
the end, actually, if you saw.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, spoiler alert, if you watch to the end and you see the fireman looking over like it's a 9/11 thing going on, that's him. That's Bryan Cranston. Like, we couldn't really leave him out of the movie. He had to be in the ending somehow. We paid this guy $40 million. He had to be there.
Next month they're going to do a riff tracks of the 98 one. They're just going to take it.
I would pay to sit
By the way,
there.
Ray,
They are.
I know why they're moving the giant Gundam statue now. Because they're making a giant Godzilla statue in that same area.
Actually,
and I don't know why you wouldn't just like move the Gundam to look at the giant Godzilla statue and make it look epic in Japan and want to go and take pictures of this shit.
Actually, it's actually just been reported that the Gundam statue, the RX-78, is going to be updated so that it moves.
Oh my god, yes. The Godzilla statue is supposed to shoot a nuclear flame or whatever, so they're probably going to use whichever chemical compound in fireworks does blue flame.
Or they're just going to use food coloring.
They'll probably find out. They'll probably do like, in the old ones where they had that
fire! Yeah, like
the flame coming out of the suit. Yeah, that's probably what they're gonna use.
Yeah. Well, obviously we can't make a fucking nuclear beam. That's reckless.
That's reckless and dangerous.
It's like, damn it, why can't we get it blue? Try it again!
Japan can invite a bunch of Americans and say, payback!
Here's a little homework for you.
Who's someone
Figure
Godzilla?
out what the episode they actually made the sun for the 10th anniversary, and I wanted.
That's actually something I'm going to be interested in because it's not going to be due. The update is not going to be done until like maybe 19 years later on, because they're just going through planning and everything. They're having people send in schematics. They're like, we want to make this thing move, whether it's by a remote control or by actually having somebody in there.
No,
what the hell are they going to do otherwise? Rest?
I love
supposed to have
that
like
job.
the Gundam statue in Japan, it's like famous or something. It's supposed to be able to move. Right?
We were just talking about that.
That's literally what we're talking about.
See, if you would sit down and stick around,
I don't care how little it paid, I would fucking sit in that Gundam and pilot it all day long.
Well, the second they do that, it's only going to be a matter of time until Japan's like, you know what? Those Gundam series have
Gundams are badass.
Now they're like, it's just a giant ass drone. Let's do it, people.
Which, by the way, next time we should discuss Dynasty Warriors Gundam
Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, we can talk about any of those crossover games. So there's a bunch of them.
How about we also talk about how they should revamp all of the Gundam series?
No, I'm not going to ask for that.
Not all of them, because most of them are way too political and nobody gives a shit.
I did.
That's
Apollo 79 was one of the best Gundam series that ever came out.
Politics bore people.
That's why
Not
I
those
liked
ones.
Gundam. That's what actually roped me into the series, was the politics. It's plot.
079 was, that's probably the reason why a lot of people don't like it though, is because 079 is, and you think you're right. Lorenzo.
Lorenzo's having fun playing Valkyrie Crusade.
Anyhow. Yeah.
What were we talking about again?
Giant Gundam statue.
Giant Gundam statue getting ready to move in 19 years.
And Godzilla 2.
And Godzilla 2.
And Pacific Rim 2.
It's not good enough to watch a series.
I don't know how the fuck they're gonna do. Okay, they announced Pacific Rim 2. How the fuck are you gonna do that?
After you close the gate.
Yeah, after you close the gate, that's it. If it's gonna be a prequel, then okay, understandable. But if it's gonna be a direct sequel, not gonna see. Since you dropped a nuke in the middle of this fucking area, this entire universe, and wiped out entire probably military installation.
Actually, that one's easy. You make it Godzilla 2.
Damn it!
But Don, you forgot about one thing. They did that in Avengers, and now Thanos is actually coming to Earth in 2.
We don't talk about that.
So I'm just.
Wait, hold on, wait a second. What? Avengers? What is Avengers 2?
It's gonna be with Thanos.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah. But it's gonna have Thanos in it.
Yeah, Thanos.
Okay, but
like robot.
Yeah, but Thanos he controls like universes, right?
Yeah. Well, the whole point was they shoved that little nuke right in there, and then Iron Man fell out of it. They closed the hole, and it went off.
It's Tony Stark's a G.
Well, yeah.
That's because it's Tony Stark.
But see.
Well, the only reason they opened that hole was to get to Earth faster.
But the whole point was that's how you do it. You asked me, how do you do that?
Anyway.
That's how you do it.
The thing that I am more excited than even Pacific Rim 2, Godzilla 2, any of the new Avengers movies, fucking a Venom movie. They finally 100% confirmed that they are making a Venom movie.
Who's in charge of this?
I will look it up later and it will be a later discussion, but I am fucking ecstatic for a Venom movie that they like have 100% confirmed.
Who's good? Is it gonna be the Amazing Spider-Man? So
I have no idea.
I hope not.
Honestly,
they've done the
you really
contract.
can't get flack about there being a Pacific Rim 2 when they're making a Sharknado 2.
We don't talk about Sharknado.
We don't
I don't know. They just did a riff tracks of it like 2 days ago.
Anything will be better
Okay,
than
hold
that.
on. Caboose here said that he's never seen Sharknado. Let me tell you one of the best scenes.
There's like a
in the-
Sharknado 4 or some shit. And I'm like,
No. There's,
It's when the guy jumps at the great white shark that's coming
yes,
out of it.
there's
not
a
open with the
scene
chainsaw.
where he jumps with the chainsaw. He just Superman jumps like da 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 and stumps into the mouth of the shark and comes out the other end.
With a woman. With a woman, as a matter of
It
fact.
just so happens to be the same one that ate the girl.
I think the best part for the riff track version of it is he jumps up and he's like, I immediately regret this.
I hate that movie so much because it's just so bad. It's so god awful. How do you have enough room to operate a chainsaw inside the belly of a shark without cutting yourself with it with another person in there?
not only that, swallow humans whole.
First,
Not only that, the one that they used afterwards for him to cut out of wasn't even a great white.
No shark. No shark was
Not only that, but the woman that was later found inside the shark actually fell out of the helicopter and was eaten.
No, great whites have been
You never
reported
see
to
him chomp down though.
Here's the best question.
He closes his mouth. He
There
doesn't
are
chomp down.
accounts from the 1800s of great white sharks having been cut open with sailors whole in them.
Here's an interesting question.
The question is, how does she survive that long without actual oxygen?
We got released.
Why are we questioning
She held her
anything
breath.
named Sharknado?
I don't want to know what she does in her spare time.
There we go. Wait, who's the chick? I forgot the actress's name.
Vega, I think her name is.
No, it's
Isn't
something else.
I don't remember.
She's in a lot of B movies.
I just remember they ripped the crap out of it.
Oh Lord, look up the name right now.
I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not wasting my data on Sharknado.
But yeah, Caboose, if you get a chance, don't sit down and watch this thing.
All right. Is there anything else we need to discuss? Because I think we're just about it.
I think yes, we're just about wrapping. Is there anything anybody else wants to discuss besides Egoboost wanting to talk about his good looks?
Well, if he had any.
If he would quit hiding them, that is true.
If he could see anything out of his shades, at like.
Well, you know what? He can't see us, so we can't see him.
I think that is the one saving grace.
All I can say is I am the GOAT.
Alright.
Where's the GOAT?
And I am DonMantaRay.
There is no Zool.
Have you seen
There is
Yugioh
only GOAT.
Plays the Goat Simulator?
Yes. Yes, I have.
It's the best. Alright, I have been DonMantaRay. With me always has been Egoboost and Caboose. Thank you for joining us. Even though you didn't really talk much and Caboose was interested in putting his foot up his ass.
And then his mouth.
I'd also like to thank Master Chef, Josh the Goat God, Jen for joining us in the last few minutes.
That's what I was interested
We'll talk about that next week. I'd also like to thank Burnout / Bird for joining us as well, even though he wasn't really here for most of it either.
I was in the vicinity, I just didn't talk.
Damn avian.
Oh,
We'd also like to thank Wabi-kun, Damon, and his husband Joe. Wait a minute. Who's the bitch and who's the butch?
Yes.
That was kind of a hard call.
That's a hard call.
The answer to that question is yes.
David, Joe, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another evening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.